is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Oh, boy. I thought you were going to talk.
Hello,
I thought you were going to talk for sure. I saw you hit the buttons.
children of the 90s and beyond.
And
Hello.
beyond. And beyond.
How are we?
If you're listening and you're not a child of the 90s. If you're listening, you're not a child of the 90s.
Oh, boy.
Turn it off right now. Turn it off right now. If you're not a child of the 90s, get out of here.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. Oh,
Hi,
boy.
everybody, welcome.
Oh, boy.
Welcome to the Decom Descendants podcast. The podcast that's taking over, best I can figure, Dan, the United States.
The United States, not anywhere else.
And beyond.
And beyond. Yes, we have listeners all over the globe. And
Oh, boy.
And also, because we're doing a Halloween Christmas-ish movie, we did decorate the studio with shamrocks, and I want to be clear that was on purpose.
Did the Shamrock Shake come back this year, or did they just pass?
I've never had a shamrock shake.
Really?
Okay, well, you're wrong.
Never have. Are they good?
I enjoy them.
Really? Is it mint in it? Like, what's okay?
But I didn't get one this year, and I think McDonald's had a very a shorter window for them, because I had a friend go on St. Patrick's Day to get one, and McDonald's was like, it's over.
They didn't have it on St. Patty's Day?
They were like, it's over. And my friend was like, but
it's St. Patrick's Day.
Today's
the day.
It's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
It is December 7th.
Can I tell you
That's why
something?
we're here.
I'm 40 years old. True story. I've never been to a McDonald's where the ice cream machine has been down. 40 years.
Oh, it happened to me a good bit.
And
Yeah.
During
I
COVID
worked at
especially.
McDonald's. I worked at McDonald's in high school. It was never down. I've literally never experienced the phenomenon that is apparently happens all the time everywhere, but never to me.
I watched a very in-depth detail about the machine itself.
Yeah, there's a whole conspiracy behind it.
It's
It's
legit.
Yeah.
There's something shady going on.
The
here.
McDonald's that was right near my college,
all the time.
a lot.
Yeah.
Like, we'd go in at night, and they'd be like, sorry, no can do. And I was like,
Now, we would shut down the
here.
machine and clean it before we closed. We would do that, and maybe somebody would walk in and we'd be like, sorry, but I never once was it broken.
Wow. I don't think it's ever broken.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think so either.
I think sometimes you just don't want to, you know?
Sometimes
Yes.
you want to know. That's
Sometimes
right.
you don't want
I
to.
think
That's right.
some of the times they were cleaning it, and then other times they were just like, especially if you got closer to the close, so they were just like, no.
Because you got to
broken.
clean those things. Doe's
gotta-
now at 19, Bran.
You know what's-
It's unbelievable.
You know
I got
what's-
a notification.
You know, it's not a conspiracy,
Big business boy.
Dan
That's
and
right.
Aaron, is our reviewers. They are not conspiracies. They are real people. We're up to 56. Can we make it 60 by next week? Jada J13 says, as the oldest sibling / cousin born in 2000, I've seen almost every single DCOM up until 2017. And so they went back.
Wow. Yeah.
A little bit. They watched the first, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they haven't seen the first ones. But and since my friends were all Nickelodeon / Cartoon Network kids, who was a Cartoon Network kid? Get out of here. Very few people my age are interested in talking about them with me. Lucky for me, y'all have similar opinions and a good sense of humor when discussing them, giving me a good laugh on my drive home from work every Friday. Thanks, guys. Also, we watch
I mean, you're welcome to talk about DCOMs with us anytime.
Anytime,
you
Jada
want,
J13.
yeah.
You might need new friends.
Jada J also wants us to know that they watch on channel 50 or 250. I don't know. I'm Gen Z and forgot the TV. How
fair.
the TV works.
But also,
Yeah.
the title of her review is Healthy Balance of Nostalgia and Reality. And you know what? That's what we strive for.
that's
Before we started this podcast, we did hours and hours of prep where we were like, how do we balance those
you got to
two
balance it. It's a healthy.
important.
It's a healthy balance.
It does. If you ever are in the studio, this is the only show where it looks like we did show prep, because there are notes all over the
There's
wall.
notes on the wall
On the wall.
that are starting to become just a hodgepodge beluga of notes for everything. But
But
yes,
it did start as
notes for this show.
we did think about it.
And I got to be honest with you. I think that the key of having that healthy dose, that balance,
Healthy balance, yeah.
of nostalgia and what was the other
Reality.
one? Reality is a good old fashioned drink.
Oh, nice transition, Brad.
Thank you.
Smooth.
Aaron, I'm sorry, Delish, not a
Yeah,
drink.
there's not a
It's
drink
a
today.
different segment, guys. It's not the drink segment.
Not drinking or drinking.
Yeah.
It's Delish.
Terrible name for
Aaron, although we have had a good bit of drinks.
Yes.
Looking at what we have today, I'm not thinking it's a drink, but I don't know what you got in store for us. Aaron, what did you bring for Delish today?
I did think about bringing a drink.
Okay.
And I didn't only because of the hour at which we are filming this.
We're actually up for the launch. This is a 6 a.m. podcast. We've gotten up for the 6 a.m.
live.
Yeah,
We're live right now.
We normally
It's crazy what happened yesterday.
we normally record this in the afternoon, and drinking then makes more sense to me. First thing in the morning, wasn't feeling it, but I did think about making a Kentucky Mule.
Okay.
Throwing a bone to Dan because it's his favorite drink, and also because the point of this movie, one of the points of this movie is like overcoming your fears.
Yeah,
sure.
And I have a fear of ginger beer.
What? Time out. I know we have things to do. We're up against it. You have a fear? It's one thing to not like ginger beer. You have a fear of ginger beer.
Yeah, the one and only time I had it was in a margarita, and I did not.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it could work, but
It did not.
No, you ginger beer bourbon, you call it a day.
I love ginger beer.
So that was the only time. Joe Shea, I know you're listening. You
Joe
had
Shea.
that margarita as well, and it scarred both of us. And I've been afraid to try ginger beer again. But everyone I know loves it.
My wife loves ginger
Oh,
beer.
it's the best.
She loves it.
So I was like, maybe I'll do a Kentucky Mule, and I will conquer my fear of ginger beer.
And it kind of comes in a bit of a cauldron, if you really think about it.
That would have been a great, conquer your fear.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite drink.
Instead, we have
Maybe-
cookies. Is that what's
Instead, we have a
happening?
cookbook in front of us. So
But
really lost out here.
So maybe at a more appropriate time, I'll have Dan make us a Kentucky Mule. We'll take a video, put it on the socials.
Done.
Just not at 9
Chef
a.m. in the
Dan.
morning.
Chef Dan.
That's what they call me.
Yeah, always. He's taking over the delicious segment.
Yeah, nope.
As he and I were talking this morning in show prep, he was telling me how much more free time he has, and I was like,
Has this week during spring break.
But we'll have in the future.
Maybe.
So he's going to become Chef Dan.
Nope.
But anyway, I brought a recipe.
Which, if you're watching on YouTube, she is holding up.
I'm holding it up if you're watching.
And it's just blinded by the light, but you can see the cookies really
cookie. But yeah,
cookies
it's called
poppin'.
The cookies
Monster
look really
Cookies.
good, yeah.
Monster cookies. Okay, I get it. I get
So
it.
that is what the recipe I found.
Is it because they're big? Is it because there's a lot going on?
I think it's because there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I think that's why.
It looks like an M&M oatmeal.
Peanut butter.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Not mad about that.
it. It looks really good.
So I'll make these, and Dan will make a Kentucky Mule, and we'll post that on the social.
Who is this?
Yes.
Who is this person that's eating the cookies?
Cookie boy.
Cookie boy.
Yeah.
Not the cookie monster.
This is not
That's
the reality
end.
part of our podcast. Bran is eating imaginary cookies.
I am eating imaginary cookies. That's true. Thank you so much for bringing that delicious
Recipe.
and picture. I love them
You know
both.
what?
No, it's making me really happy to look at.
Dan can do the delicious segment next week.
Pop Tart
No, thank
O'Clock
you.
is approaching. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We will dive into our movie of the week. Don't
do it.
Look under the bed. We'll be right back here on
The
Decom.
Hallmark.
No, Dan. Here on
Decom
Drink
Descendants.
and drink.
Who invited Dan?
Can't say that. Welcome back to Decom Descendants. This is movie 11?
Movie 12.
Movie 12.
Whoa.
Movie
Yeah.
12. Don't Look Under the Bed.
You Lucky Dog making another appearance in my top 10 this week. I thought about it. I'm just kidding. It's not going to do that. I will say this.
Number
I feel,
one?
Moving on
Moved it to number
up.
one?
I feel as though I was lied to because we started this podcast under the working assumption that I had not seen these movies. And between the two of you, you guys were the pros. But I'm to understand correctly that none of us had seen this movie. So we are not descending from any sort of knowledge, prior knowledge of this movie.
As a 9-year-old, this movie looked too scary.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't show it to my 9-year-old right now.
Between the two of us, thus far, aside from the first two that are kind of in their own world, we have either one of us has seen it or we have some sort of vague
working
memory.
Yes.
This was all new.
And Can
This
of
was all
Worms was
new.
not our fault because Disney aired that one time and then
They were
didn't
like,
air it.
this is a crime. We can't put this on again.
So if you missed that first airing, like tough luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Don't Look Under the Bed, I guess, was the Halloween joint for the 1999 season because it came out on October 9th. So at least it's seasonal.
yeah.
Unlike
Got a little Christmas in there too.
unlike Can of Worms that came out I
Just
don't
to
know,
scare
like
all of us.
like in May.
Yeah.
Fun May
Just to
fun May scare
haunt
time.
us forever.
So we're in Middleburg. Did we get a state? Did they just say Middleburg?
Just middle.
Just it's middle.
I'm going to assume it's somewhere in Canada.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, if you're going by where it was filmed, Utah. But
Ooh,
Utah.
Okay.
DCOM really kept Yukon.
Yukon? They are the one seed overall in the bracket, Bran.
They actually still have them in it, the DCOM people.
because High School Musical is also Utah.
Yeah. And I feel like this isn't the first Utah we've had so far.
So yeah.
there
Salt
you
Lake
go.
City.
Salt Lake, shout out. Love that city. Beautiful. Middleburg, a place that I guess, apparently, thanks to narration, we're to believe it's a boring town. Nothing really happens here. So that makes what happens in this movie all the more out there because this is a boring town. Nothing happens here. So the movie kicks off. Everybody is sleeping, and they all wake up very suddenly to the alarms, and they're all just kind of like, what's happening? The parents go and they wake up the kids, and they're like, it's time to wake up. And everybody's incredibly tired, more so than normal. And
everyone is yawning, and they just, I mean, yeah, just, I didn't know what was going on at first. I was like, they're all really tired.
The viewer at home saw clocks going very quickly.
Yeah.
And so Dad decides, hey, it's always set the times to this specific website. I'll go check the website and see what's going on because the sun's not even out.
No one in 1999 in that family had a cell phone, that would have been a 50-50.
That is a good question about
proposition.
This is how does...
I had a cell phone as that was my first cell phone in 1999.
But even, let's talk about digital clocks. Like every clock, digital or not, like
my first cell phone was like 2007.
Yeah, but you were 9 in 1999. So of course you didn't have a cell phone.
But do you think
my dad had a cell phone in like 96, 97. So like the fact that no one in that family had a cell phone, that was a little shocking.
We didn't have cell phones until the mid 2000s.
Your dad didn't have one?
Oh no, Lord no.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, you were the youngest of 5. That makes a little bit of sense, I guess.
We were very late to the cell phone.
But also, even if that's the case, I still contend that if you wake me up and tell me it's 7 and it's pitch black outside, I will argue against you. I will just go. I would be like, nope, you're wrong. Unless there's an eclipse that I'm not aware of that sprung up on us. It is not.
You know those sneaky eclipses?
Yeah, the sneaky eclipse, the sneak clips.
They're not scheduled or anything.
So I'm not getting up. I'm not doing it until you prove to me that it is the time that you say, and it's just going to take more than one clock.
But were digital clocks affected?
About what?
With the time. Well, here in this movie, we see all the clocks changing. But if you had like a digital,
the first one is a digital alarm.
So
clock.
would it have affected your cell phone?
It would not. The cell phone's hooked up to a satellite. The digital clock's just hooked up to a battery.
Yeah.
That you set.
All right.
Okay. Like that's why when he went and checked the satellite, it was like it's 4:30 in the morning.
4:30. Okay. So
Great.
it is. It's 4:30.
We did it.
It's 4:30. So they all go back to sleep. I'm not getting
out of bed.
They all go back to sleep, and they're just kind of like, this is weird. Frances Bacon, we'll call her Franny. She is our main character. And the next day, Franny and her best friend are walking to school, and they're confused as to why all the dogs are on the roof.
Well, Franny finds out that the alarm clocks was not just in her house. Right. It was her friend Joe's house. And
town-wide.
Yes.
Town-wide.
Everyone in town
Everybody in Middleburg. And then all the dogs are on the roof. And they don't really think much of those two situations and whether or not they're connected. It's just kind of like, oh, the dogs are on the roof again.
Classic. Dogs on the green screen roof.
We talked about it while watching. If I randomly woke up 3 hours before my alarm because all the clocks in town changed. Yeah. And then as I'm walking to school, all the dogs are on the roofs. I am going back home.
That's probably enough.
I'm not continuing to school.
Yeah. You see one dog on a roof, you're like, all right, well, that's weird. If they're all on the roofs, I think at that point you've got to say we can't do normal.
That's right.
Yeah. The whole neighborhood apparently everyone in the neighborhood has a dog.
That's right.
And then all the dogs were just on the roofs. And I just wouldn't, I'd be like, you know what?
They're all good boys, though.
Taking a personal
They're all
day.
good boys and girls.
Yes.
And huge. The
and
CGI
they're all
phenomenal.
They are Clifford size.
Clifford the big roof dog. So they get to school, and Franny notices this guy in the distance just staring at her. And she's kind of like, who's that? What's going on?
Who's that guy staring at
Oh my
us?
gosh,
Oh my
someone's
gosh.
staring at me. And her best friend
gosh.
looks and does not see anybody. And she once again is like,
All right, cool.
cool, no big deal.
We are going to find out later that this guy doesn't think anyone can see him, which now does beg the question, why is he staring at her?
Yeah.
That I did not think of when I was watching the movie.
Yeah.
Why is he pulling his sunglasses down and staring at her longer than anyone needs to stare at anyone else they don't know?
I think at that point she had like seen him.
He still doesn't think he can be seen though.
Right, but I think it was more of like is she looking at me?
Is she looking at me? It's
But
one of
he's
those.
smiling. He's not confused. It's a weird bit. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
It is an interesting performance knowing
It's weird.
knowing what
It's
we know
weird.
now.
Yes.
So some more stuff.
staring.
He's staring at me. Oh my god. We then see a ton of eggs, and whatever number you think it is,
It's more.
quadruple it at least. So many eggs drop on this car, and it just kind of keeps happening.
40, 50 dozen?
Yeah, at least.
Well, you see all the empty egg cartons, and it's a lot of
prodigious.
eggs.
It is a lot of eggs.
The random guy from earlier is just kind of, it keeps lurking. He's like, he goes up on the roof and he sees all the empty egg cartons and he's like, whoa, this is weird, huh? So he also kind of doesn't really know
Right.
what's
Which
happening here.
Also plot-wise weird now that I think of it, that he doesn't. Why else would he be? It's not important. Keep going, Brain.
we'll get there.
Yeah.
So after
I
school,
thought a lot about it. I'm with you.
after school, she's walking home and she sees the guy again. And this time she says, why are you following me? Like, why are you following me? And he's like, me? And then a school bus drives by and he disappears.
Yes.
So what's going on there? We don't know. We do know. We then see a ton of more weird things happening. There's the pool is now jelly. Jello.
Jello.
Which really is just jelly if you think about it.
No.
Okay. Water is
Very different process.
Water's filled up the buses.
The pool is filled with preserves.
Yeah, the buses are filled
with
Water.
water. There's bees in the principal's office, and it's not
No
just.
good bees.
I forgot about the water in the buses.
Yeah, early Dingus Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy Dingus Day
Happy
to
Dingus Day
both
to
of
you.
you.
Next week.
To all who celebrate.
And yeah, the I have a point to make later when we get to to talking about it, but like it just the buses, I forgot about that.
So do you want me to
How?
wait? Do you want me to like? Do you just
It's
keep me
weird
up?
to
I
say
just
that you have a
still-
point you want to make
No,
later.
I'm just
You just keep me posted.
Put a pin in that for whenever
No, you just
Erin
keep me
decides
when
to
they
share.
blame Francis for the pranks. How
All right, when
Yeah.
How?
Well, it's already starting to stack how
How? The
Francis could have
water.
possibly done all of these things.
I mean, I was out on the pool being filled with jam.
yeah. Now
with Smuckers.
yeah.
It's really
the
the same
buses,
thing.
I forgot about the buses and
when
the
you think,
water.
think
Like,
about it.
how did they think that she? I'm just gonna have
Let's
to
give it up
think
for-
about this for a while.
You remember when that guy on the Today Show would do the shout out to the old people with the
100,
Smucker?
when you turn 100,
100.
yes.
Love that. That was great. That was always the highlight of my morning.
That was always the highlight of
Yeah,
my-
it would happen right before I would go to school. My mom would always watch the Today Show in the morning.
He didn't have a cell phone.
I didn't have a cell phone. It's true. And so, yeah, I was pretty jazzed about all these old people. It's just good
Brandon
to know.
was like, can't wait till I'm 100.
Yeah, 100%. That's literally my only desire to live that long.
Yeah, and that's why you're doing a thing.
I'm
That's
doing
why
the
you're
thing.
doing a thing to live to 100 to be on the Smuckers.
There's a lot. Don't let anyone fool you. There's a lot of downsides to living a long time.
Yeah.
But the one upside is you get to be on the Today Show on the Little Jam.
Did they still do it?
Yeah, they got to. Al Roker does it now.
So who's going to be doing it in 2092?
Al Roker.
Al Roker
Carson
has to
Daly?
be. Carson Daly 100% will be doing it.
He's going to be 125.
Yeah. Anyway.
Doing some Smuckers Request Live over there.
Wake me up.
Wake me up inside.
So he is on the Today Show now.
Oh, there you go.
Did
See,
you
I
know
made
that?
it.
He's
I
like,
did.
he's
That's
like,
why I made that joke.
Yeah. And he hosts the Voice. NBC
Smuckers Request Live.
NBC
Doesn't make
bought
any sense.
NBC bought Carson Daly stock really
Really
low.
high, really high.
No, they've
Didn't
had
he
him.
have a late night show on?
He did.
That was when
Yes.
he was still a thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they
bought
got
high.
Oh, they bought high. But now he's
And now
doing
he's
everything.
low.
No, but he's doing everything. He's like
He's always been, in my opinion, like he wants to be Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah, he's NBC's Ryan Seacrest.
But with like just a lot of melatonin.
He's NBC's Ryan Seacrest. Yeah.
How old is Carson Daly?
44.
The fact that you think he's in it. Aaron, how old's Carson Daly?
Is he in his 50s?
He's 50.
No.
He's 50 years old.
Wow. He looks great.
He looks great.
He's halfway to getting on a Smuckers.
He's halfway to Smuckersville.
Smuckers Request Live.
And you can submit that via email or fax.
Yeah,
so.
That's right.
Halfway to Smuckersville, Carson Daly. You can give him, if anyone knows him, let him know that we tip our hat to him.
And that Bran thought he was 44.
And I thought he was 44.
He'll appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. He's always so supportive on The Voice, too. He always really wants the guys.
I forgot he was on The Voice. I've not watched it.
I stopped watching The Voice when Adam Levine left.
I still kind of love The Voice.
You were watching for Adam Levine?
Oh, yeah.
This is a good.
Well, also,
this is
I mean,
a good
I
season.
started watching for Adam Levine, and then I really loved the like bromance between him and Blake Shelton.
I like.
They had some good banter.
John Legend, Dan and Shay, Chance the Rapper, and Reba. And whenever
Reba would be good.
Whenever somebody picks Reba if she turns and there's like if you pick her, you get chicken. She gives you a box of Reba chicken and a Reba chicken box.
What?
Well, Gwen Stefani used to give out jackets.
It's become a thing that each like so Chance gives you a Chance the Rapper hat.
Okay.
You know,
You
John
can wear
Legend
that.
gives a
chicken. What are you going to do with chicken? You got to eat it, and then that's it.
And
you don't have anything.
in the first season she was in, I think she gave out hash browns. You'd go over to this like hash brown stand and she'd scoop it out.
I just feel like everybody else is
my
under. It's swag.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's giving.
But that's
you
what makes Reba different.
Reba's going to Reba.
Reba's going to
Can Reba and Kelly not be on the same season?
I don't know. Kelly Clarkson? Mm-hmm. I don't think she can do it anymore because of
she's in
because
New
of her
York.
show.
Okay.
Yes.
I think she's too busy now.
Well,
she's got
when
a
she was in
dating show.
LA, she did it. But when now she's in New York, it's not the same.
Can't
studio.
do it. It's too much.
I was
Anyway,
wondering, are they still friends?
So
Reba and Kelly?
Yeah.
I hope so. Why wouldn't they be?
Well, Kelly divorced Reba's son, so I just didn't know how that worked out.
Oh! I didn't know that they were married.
Yeah, I think that's
I
how
knew
they-
she had a divorce, but
Yeah.
I didn't know that that's who she'd married either. Interesting.
So I just wonder. I mean, they were really good friends. I wonder how that.
well, I'm Team Kelly.
Oh, for sure.
And so I want everyone
That's
to.
tough. I mean, maybe in that divorce.
Oh, in
I'm
the
Team
divorce,
Kelly.
yeah.
no,
If you have to pick between
I'm not
Kelly
talking
and Reba,
about right.
No,
don't make
we
me
would
do that.
We would never.
Okay,
I can't.
you guys came out hard like your Team
Sorry.
Kelly. I'm
No,
like,
I just meant in the divorce.
In
I was
divorce,
about to say,
Team
Reba
Kelly.
McEntire, national treasure. Right?
I love Reba.
Yeah. Okay.
Reba.
Reba.
Kelly, if you want
All
to
day
come
long.
on Decom Descendants and break down a decom
Love
with
Kelly. Hey, bud.
Where were we? Early on, still in this movie?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. So that night,
Smuckers really took us for a turn there.
So
you do.
Francis Bacon, who can
With a B, Bacon with a B.
who's the only one that can see the guy. She's not the only one that can see the things. Everybody can see the things, and so I do
pranks,
think, the
yeah.
pranks. I do think that's worth noting that
Yes.
it's not just everything. Not everything's in her mind. It's just
I also question, like, somebody dives into the pool of Jello.
you should
Did
be able
they
to see
not
that. No, you should
that
be
it
able to
was
see
bright
it.
red Jello?
You should be able to see it.
Did it?
I gotta be honest. If your pool, if you can't tell the difference between your pool and Jello,
That's right.
then you should probably redo your pool.
Do we know anyone with a pool we could try this out with this summer?
Fill it with Jello.
If you want to pay to reline the pool, then we can do it.
How much are we talking? We just got an Amex card.
No, not the business. You personally.
No, this sounds like the
You
most
personally.
business expense of all time.
You
Filling your
personally.
pool with
Jell-O?
Jello is the most business. That's a business venture.
You personally have to repay it. It probably costs you $5,000 to $8,000.
You thinking that this isn't a business thing is
It's
shocking.
ruining my kids' time to swim.
They're gonna love swimming
But
in
we're
Jello.
watching a movie.
No.
We watched a movie with the Jello.
Figure it out. I'm saying figure it out. Or we could break into the Y and do it in their pool.
Yeah, that sounds better.
Sounds
Yeah.
more like a crime, but I'm in.
Yeah,
Well, if we want to be more authentic to the
that's
movie,
a lot
it
more
would
Jello.
be the Y.
That's a lot more Jello.
It's a lot more Jello.
So that night, everyone's asleep, and we see this person, like, kind of like limping around, hands with long nails and creepy hands, and is planting plants. And you're like, oh, that's nice. Just a nighttime
Nighttime
Gardener.
gardener. Yeah.
Did you say gardener?
Gardening.
Oh,
Can I get that Italian? Can I get that Italian beef with some gardenere?
Yeah.
gardener. I'm a gardener.
Look at that gardenere.
Nighttime gardening. You know.
Who that going to gardener?
The best time for flowers is at nighttime.
That's exactly right. And the next day, she meets her best friend outside, and we see that the plants spell.
Joe loves Bert.
Joe loves Bert.
And Bert is Francis Bacon's brother.
Older brother.
And Joe had just told Franny that.
She has a crush.
Or at least Franny's like, you have a crush on him? And Joe's like, no, I don't. And
She's like, don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody. So she's mad now. And
Storms
we're
off
never
to
going to see her.
And we don't see
her
again.
the rest of the movie.
I think we see her once near the end. But basically, you're right. Maybe we don't.
She's very mad.
Yeah.
she's about
I've had
80 minutes worth of mad. And so then she gets to school and everybody is just stationary outside. And it is one of the creepier things. It's like, do you remember the movie Smile, Dan?
I do.
Where you just kind of see they would see people and they'd just be smiling at them through a crowd. It's kind of like creepy like that. Everyone's just stationary. And like, what the heck?
Like that.
And then the bell rings and everyone starts moving again.
It's like Zach Morris called Timeout.
Yeah. I don't know how the Boogeyman did this one. Everything else is...
If the Boogeyman can control time like that, that's
Or
scary.
control his thing is he can control like objects. Like he can make a pool full of Jello. He can do all of these things that involve objects. But this is causing a group of people. This is mind control.
Well, I think he just stopped.
You think he stopped time?
I don't think he's in their minds. I think he stopped time. And so when the bell rings...
Interesting.
Okay,
so that would go back to...
Can we talk about the Jello for a second?
But he didn't actually cause time to speed up there.
He didn't. He just sped up the digitals.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Boogeyman, we see like
Smuggler's Request Live.
physically planting the flowers. Like we see all of that. So am I to imagine that the Boogeyman took over a kitchen somewhere and was just slaving away making some Jello?
Jello.
Like how did... I have so many questions about the Jello.
True.
I'm so sorry. I cannot let this go.
Yeah. There's a lot happening
How
here.
did the Jello
There's
get in the pool?
Here.
Filling up the buses with water. Or you get
is that bus airtight?
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, because you
does
got...
the Boogeyman have magic?
Yeah, how much of what the Boogeyman is doing is magic versus...
Correct.
Just
like
being...
you would think that the Boogeyman could just like snap his fingers and flowers.
Spoiler alert, later he's on the roof putting up Christmas lights.
That's right.
Yeah.
So like he does have to do the things.
That's right. Yes.
But then there is some magic
He
involved.
loves a good prank. The
does
Boogeyman loves a good prank.
He does cause everyone... Well,
yeah.
Maybe the Boogeyman convinced, like had said, hey, let's... got everybody involved in the stationary bit. Like, hey guys, let's all do this thing. You guys want to do a thing?
And freeze.
It's a freeze boy.
Freeze boy.
I don't know. These are good questions.
I have so many questions.
Yeah.
If we could get the Boogeyman, if you could come on the pod,
Boogie.
we have some questions.
All of the lockers have the letter B spray painted on them. Is it for Bacon? Is it for Boogie? Who can say? Except for Francis Bacon.
Say unequivocally it is the Boogie. Yes.
But at the time,
we don't
know.
The
fact that Francis Bacon's locker is the only one without the B on it.
Oof.
People are a little people are thinking that it's her. So
that's
she goes.
When they're like, she's doing all these pranks.
She's a big pranker.
She's
big pranker.
Yes.
She goes. She's at lunch and she sees the guy lurking again. So she goes to talk to him, and this time he doesn't disappear. He doesn't run away. He says his name is Larry Houdini, and he knows who has been doing all of this stuff. The Boogeyman. The Boogeyman's been doing all this stuff, and she's like, "Why? Can only I see you? What is happening?" She's like, "Hey, everybody, Larry Houdini," and everyone's just kind of laughs.
She makes herself look more crazy.
Yes.
Also, to note, and you may have said this, but she is an 8th grader in 9th grade.
That's
so
true.
She's trying to fit in already.
She's trying.
She's awkward for her anyway. They already think she's weird, and then now they think she's weirder.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, because she's pranking everyone and she's just shouting to herself in the cafeteria.
Yes. So the school begins to question her because people are beginning to think that she's the pranker. And she tells them that Larry Houdini did it. It's Larry Houdini. Larry whodunit. It's Houdini. And no one believes her, obviously, because Larry Houdini doesn't go to school here. We got no record of this Houdini. But the school therapist, what are the
guidance
counselor,
yes.
Has a working theory. Apparently, Francis Bacon's youngest brother had needed a bone marrow transplant.
Correct.
Okay.
You made it through it. You made it through it.
You know I
Pussy
struggle.
Willow.
You know I struggle with when I make a mistake and I correct it in my mind. Then I'm constantly
Yeah. It's a bone marrow transfer.
transfer is what I thought.
Bran has to, when he code switches when he talks from his head to real English.
Yeah, man. In my head, it's
That's a better joke than it's getting credit for.
So
there's people in Bran's brain just pulling out. This is what we want to say. This is what it looks like in my brain. Switch it.
You've seen the episode of SpongeBob where they go inside his brain and that is his brain?
Yeah.
Dan has two, so you get that.
Oh, yeah, no, of course. Big SpongeBob SquarePants guy. Krabby Patties,
his
pizza,
brain
the
is
whole
file
thing.
folders, and they
Crab
like,
pizza is the pizza for you and me. Krusty Krab.
So there's a point after that where the guidance counselor puts a cool bag on Francis's head.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was getting to the working theory.
Oh, sorry.
The
my bad.
theory
the
is
transfer.
yes, and that her older brother, Bert,
So it's going to be a 2-hour episode. If you
or
come to that.
yeah, Bert was able to give the bone marrow.
So the theory was that Frances had given the bone marrow to her younger brother, and now she was acting out because
He's getting
she was
attention.
forced to
Right,
do this
yes.
thing. But then it turns out that it wasn't Frances at all. It was
No,
Bert,
she
so.
couldn't give the bone marrow. She wasn't a match.
Yes.
It's a match. And then she lays down on the church pew out there with an ice pack on her head and has what I can only describe as the creepiest scene in DCOM history that happens after that.
What happens, Dan?
We see a hand, Freddy Krueger style hand, long fingernails, coming up over the edge of the pew and reaching down over her face. It is terrifying. There's like some fog machines. It is terrifying.
Do the lights dim?
Yes. She wakes up. She screams. It's terrifying. Like things are happening, Bran.
Right. Mm-hmm. So she comes home, and at this point, her youngest brother comes in and asks about whether or not the boogeyman is real. And she's like, "Why are you asking?" And it's like, "Oh, so, well, Larry Houdini at the park, told us that the boogeyman was real." And so she goes to the park, and sure enough, Larry Houdini's at the park shooting hoops. Basketball's his favorite sport. He likes the way they dribble up and down the court. His favorite play is the alley-oop. He likes to pick and roll. He likes to give and go. And so she goes to the park. He's there, and he explains that he's an imaginary friend and that kids can see him. Kids can see everything. And so every kid, best to my knowledge, can see Larry Houdini. Mm-hmm. And can they see every imaginary friend? We don't really get into
Not important.
all the specifics
we don't
here.
get in the weeds here.
But they go to the library, and he begins to prove that kids can see him. He's doing
faith of a child.
tricks. He's doing somersaults on
and
tables.
Do you want to talk about those kids for a hot second?
Oh my gosh.
Well, they're by themselves.
Like
they are glued.
4?
They're,
How old
I
are
don't
they?
know if this was a thing in '99 where you drop your kid off at a library. You'd put them at a table with a TV that says story time.
There's a max of 6
and
that are allowed.
somebody has recorded a video of them reading a story so that no one has to.
I mean, my library had story time growing up.
But with an actual
With
person.
with an actual,
like
the
a librarian
librarian
adult
would
supervision.
read.
Yes.
And my parents also stayed. Like it wasn't a drop off
It's not a daycare.
situation.
No.
So that was just, I didn't know what was going on in '99 in Middleburg, but
Yeah.
apparently
They don't
your
have cell
4-year-olds
phones
did
and
not
they're
need adult supervision.
unattended in front of a TV in the library. Yes.
So
And he grabs a book about the boogeyman and is going to try to figure out how to make this boogeyman go away.
yes,
That's the whole thing here. So they go back to her house, and it becomes clear that her brother can now no longer see Larry Houdini. And this really upsets Larry.
yeah.
Because
Turns out Larry was Darwin's imaginary friend.
Yes. And so he's upset because she basically told him that he has to grow up or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this really upsets Larry. And so that night, Larry is watching Darwin as he sleeps.
As you do.
And
Above board.
and he hears the boogeyman on the roof. There rose such a clatter. And he sprung from his bed to see what was the matter.
Oh my God. We're
having a good time.
So we're having a great time.
It's the rose such a clatter company. And so Larry goes outside. Frances also wakes up, and comes out to help him.
This is going to be our longest episode.
Ever.
Here we go. Boogeyman is up on the roof, and
he's trying to put up some Christmas lights.
Putting up Christmas lights,
That's right.
as you do. He's a pranker, but like a holly jolly fellow.
Yes.
It's a reverse
holly
Grinch.
jolly prankster.
It's a reverse Grinch.
Yeah.
It's a reverse Grinch situation.
And Larry gets up on the roof and gets scared of the boogeyman after finding out that he is now also going to become a boogeyman. And that causes
Starting
him
to see some purple eyes, some things here and there.
And he begins to fall off the roof. The boogeyman turns on the Christmas lights, which causes the rest of the town's lights to turn off, and which becomes newsworthy the next day. There was one
Franny
house
also
in town.
Breaks the glass.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Franny tries to save Larry.
With the ladder, breaks the glass. When
We're
parents
such a
wake
clatter
up,
company.
they think that Francis has done all this, and she cray.
Yeah, everyone in town thinks that Francis caused a citywide blackout.
right.
By decorating for Christmas in whatever month this is.
In October, which could happen. It should be against the law.
Yeah. For sure. So Larry shows up the next day.
You heard it here first. Bran agrees you
Brandon
shouldn't
agrees.
decorate in October.
You shouldn't decorate in October.
For sure.
For sure.
So Larry shows up the next day and tells Francis that they need to read more of the book and they need to create some boogie goo.
And while this is happening, Franny's dad, played by the venerable Stephen Tobolowsky, wants to have the guidance counselor over for dinner.
Yes.
I think that's what would solve this, is if you have the guidance counselor over for dinner, then we could get to the bottom of this. We couldn't do that in an office, but if we cook him a meal here, I think we're going to solve a lot of problems.
So Darwin's in there making the boogie goo. She walks in and she's
Larry.
Sorry, Larry.
Darwin
Larry,
is
Larry.
a child.
Yeah.
Can't
Larry's
see Larry anymore.
Larry's very into boogie goo, and she's like, "That's weird. Like, why are you like sucking on chili dog, sucking on chili dog, sucking on a chili dog, sucking on a chili dog."
Yeah, and if you have not seen this movie, this is a scene in which I almost threw up.
Yeah, it is tough. It is
the bubbling sound
Yes.
effect, I think, is what puts it over the top.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about this last night as I went home and was just continuing to process this movie. There is a scene in Can of Worms where if you turn the sound off, I still want to throw up. But if I turned the sound off during this scene, I would have been fine.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
It was that bubbling
Accurate.
sound. Like, I didn't like it.
It was tough. So,
Also, I think wearing headphones didn't help.
yeah, it was right there in the old ear canal. So she reads that once somebody stops believing in an imaginary friend too soon, that imaginary friend will become a boogeyman. There are multiple boogeymen.
Yeah.
And so she's now like, oh, he's eating the boogie goo. He's
His
turning,
eyes are purple.
he's turning into
He
the boogeyman.
scratches her with long fingernails.
Yes. So Darwin steps on some boogie goo that was on the ground, and it is now on his shoe. He goes to his room. He's sitting on his bed, feet dangled over.
He's in Francis's room.
Yes. And the
Because
boogeyman,
Francis is in his room and kicks him out of his room, so he
Yes.
goes to Francis's room.
his
You know,
the
as
boogie,
like you do.
we see the boogeyman's hand grab his foot,
Yep.
and he is now pulled.
See you,
He's
sucker.
been boogied.
He's been boogied. He's been boogied.
You got boogied.
Yeah. So Larry and Franny now go into the room. They see that his shoe has been left behind. It's
Kirk
Rapture. And Nicolas Cage.
Ooh.
And so she looks under the bed. I know we've been
said
told
don't. We'd say
we've been
Yeah.
told not to,
Movie
but
said
what can
not
you do?
to.
And she sees a portal of sorts that is open. So she goes through. Larry is also coming with, and he has with him a machine that zaps them real good. Kind of foggy on the machine,
Yeah.
to be honest
Yes.
with you.
It's
Real-
got a backpack and
it's
there's
a-
a whole
It's a
thing.
going.
happening.
I think they were
And it
going
has,
for
like
like
jumper
a.
cables that you're supposed to attach to the boogeyman.
It's
and
really dangerous, but also for kids at the same time. I don't, like it's a lot.
I think they were going for like a Ghostbusters thing.
Sure.
There, but I don't know.
Sure.
Anyway, we go into Boogie Town, and it is
Gonna take
you're
you
under
too.
the bed, and so
Boogie Town.
everything that you would see kind of under a bed, like all
there.
those random
massive.
things, are massive.
Massive.
So like
Yeah.
a toy car is huge, and a sandwich huge.
It's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but on a cheaper budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're trying to, Larry and Franny are trying to track down where Darwin is, and Boogie, of course. And so they're going. They find Boogie. Darwin is in a sack.
Yep. He's in a sack. What's funny about it? He's in a sack. It's a sheet sack.
It's a sheet
He's in a sack.
Yeah, it's a sock.
It's a giant sock sack.
Yeah, it's a giant sock sack. And so
He's trapped in a sock sack.
Yes.
Trapped in a sock sack?
Wasn't me. And so Larry goes to shoot Boogie with the bazooka.
And before we get too much further, we should bring up that the Boogeyman is a Victorian man who speaks in rhyming couplets.
Yes.
So.
No, it's crazy that we've gone 3 hours into this pod and we've not covered that yet.
That the Boogeyman only speaks in rhymes.
Yes. For a guy that has lost his way when it comes to hygiene and most everything else, he still has his rhyming couplets.
And I would just say, don't ask.
Yes.
This is a classic don't ask, don't tell situation when it comes to the rhyming. We don't need to get into it. Have you heard about the Boogeyman real quick, guys? I've actually heard a rumor that God is bigger than the Boogeyman.
What? But what about Godzilla?
He's bigger than Godzilla and the other various monsters that you'll find on your
TV?
television set. Yep.
No way.
God is bigger than the Boogeyman.
No, I don't believe you.
Well, he's watching out for you and me.
Oof.
So he goes to zap him with the zap gun, and it's not working.
Like
all the monsters on TV?
Yeah, all of them.
We should be playing Decom Descendants Bingo.
Son of a bee.
Did we bring up VeggieTales? Check.
The VeggieTales podcast is going to slap.
Did we bring up?
It's going to slap.
Dude. Silly Songs with Larry podcast?
I don't want any. I don't know if I want any part of that podcast. I think VeggieTales is vastly overrated.
I'd like a cheeseburger, but I like a milkshake.
Where's my hairbrush? It's a classic.
Said to her, I can't give you either. And I said, isn't this Burger Bell? She said, yes, it is, but we're closed now. But we open tomorrow at 10.
Said I am extremely
Hungry, but I guess I can wait until then. Cause yours is cheeseburger. And I say cheeseburger. Can't wait for you. Yeah, can't wait for you. Oh, precious.
Remember 4 hours ago when Dan said he didn't want to be a part of a VeggieTales?
Listen, because I sing along doesn't mean I like it. If you play a song, I will sing along. If I know the words. If I don't.
Why do you know that song?
The early silly songs were played in youth group. So like when I was in high school, Hairbrush, Cheeseburger,
Lips?
Nope. Hairbrush, Cheeseburger, there's one other big one.
Water Buffalo?
Water Buffalo.
Water Buffalo.
Yeah.
Those
If I were a Water Buffalo.
No, everyone's got a Water
Everybody's
Buffalo.
got a Water
Yours is
Buffalo.
fast, but mine is slow. That's right.
Everybody's got a Water Buffalo.
Those three.
Where did we get them? I don't know.
Those three are etched in my brain.
They slap.
And I think they're terrible.
You do not think cheeseburger's terrible.
I do. I do think it's terrible.
Well, there's the whole. Have you heard about like what everyone now thinks the cheeseburger song's about?
No.
Oh.
I do think it's weird that Phil Vischer and his gang decided to do a Mexican-ish voice in that song. I think that is weird. It's a weird choice. Why?
Listen, man, we're all growing.
We're all growing.
We're all growing.
And I think Phil Vischer would admit that. But
he got screwed out of his VeggieTales money.
He
and we hate that for Phil.
But I just VeggieTales in general, I
What's the cheeseburgers?
I don't like. Yeah, I know every word.
There are theories that it's about like virginity.
Oh, what? What?
How like you have to wait?
You have to wait till tomorrow at 10 a.m. to have sex?
I don't know. I do not remember this one. This is not one of like.
Then what's
the
Denny's?
I think that's a stretch.
I don't know.
What's going to Denny's for the Grand Slam? What's that?
I don't know.
Is that?
I think it's a
non-sexual pleasure.
It's all out. It's all.
We're getting really in the weeds. If the burger's virginity,
listen,
I'm just
man.
saying. I don't think it holds up.
It's all outside the pants stuff.
It's outside the pants stuff.
Yeah, man.
It's Denny's. A Denny's Grand Slam is pants on.
Yeah, like there's this whole thing.
One weirdo on Reddit doesn't make it so.
Well, the first comment from Professional Squid, which I'm here for this, is, on the other hand, he does eventually settle for a cheap breakfast at Denny's. Make of that what you will. Is Denny's a hooker? Is Denny's a prostitute?
That's in the hard questions.
It might as well be.
So he tries to zap him with the zapper, and it doesn't work because the extension cord back in the room has come unplugged. Yeah. And at this point, Larry turns full boogie.
Larry. I know that one.
Larry turns full boogie.
Go ahead. Larry turns full boogie.
Yes.
Transformation complete.
Transformation complete, and we hate that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so they're trying. Franny is trying to rescue Darwin, now all by herself.
Yeah, she cannot untie that sock sack.
No. While we have just a rhyme off between the two boogies.
Yeah.
And Larry's not doing so well in the rhyme off.
He is not.
Franny remembers something about
her imaginary
Peter Pan or something. And
the boogeyman keeps calling her Franny.
Yes.
And only one person in her entire life has ever called her Franny.
And so first she has Darwin begin to clap, and that causes Larry Boogie to turn back into Larry Houdini.
That's right.
So at story time, they were reading Peter Pan.
That's right. That's what it was.
And when Tinkerbell...
Take it from here, Aaron.
When Tinkerbell is dying...
I'm going to try to listen. I'm still trying to process how Denny's is dry humping, and I don't... it's so hard for me to do that 100%. While we're doing this, because I'm just
you think about that.
Yeah,
I'll explain what happened.
I'm getting through it.
Moons over my hammy and my pants.
Moons over my hammy, new meaning for sure. For sure.
Looking back on it, it's probably for the best that I did not make a drink for this episode because we would not have made it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in Peter Pan, when Tinkerbell is dying, you have to clap to prove that you believe in fairies, and Tinkerbell comes back to life. So in order to get Larry to reverse the boogeyman process, he needs his imaginary friend to say that he still believes in him. But the boogeyman has grabbed Darwin and has a hand over his mouth so he can't speak. So Franny remembers the Tinkerbell thing and is like, Darwin, clap. If you still believe, clap. And so Darwin's in the sock sack going...
And that causes Larry Houdini to
reverse.
Yeah, his boogeyman shell explodes and he is a cowboy.
Now Larry Houdini's trying to keep Boogie at bay, saw him live. Yeah. And Franny, because she's smart, is doing
there
science
happens to be a
stuff.
Battery under the bed, so she is taking a paper clip and... Yep,
and is
connecting the plug.
She's
to
creating
the battery.
electricity.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it works.
Yep.
And causes, when you zap, just like that, it reverts back. And at this point, Franny has figured out who
the
boogeyman is. It is her old imaginary friend,
Zoe,
who she stopped believing in.
That's right.
When Darwin got sick. And it is all about, growing up too soon. And, that becomes
Zoe is an uppity AB who's British.
She is a Victorian. She's got breachers.
I will just say
once more into the breachers.
The boogeyman reverts back to a uppity up B woman, and
Zoe does correct us that she is not a boogeyman; she's a boogie person.
1999,
ahead of its time in so many ways.
1999.
How dare you gender that boogeyman?
And that's something you should take away from this.
We should have been calling him Grim the whole time.
Yeah, still don't look under the bed, but just know that when you do.
Boogie them.
Maybe ask the boogie person what they would like to be called.
Yes. And so they get out from under the bed, and it's all good. It's all happy. And then we find out that they are going to leave.
So what happens is
the boogie team.
They come out from under the bed, and then the parents are like, hey, all those pranks that were happening here are happening in Centerville.
Yes.
So clearly it's a wandering troupe of pranksters. Franny, you're off the hook.
That's right. Yeah. They're out of town, just in and out, just like that. Whereas the two imaginary friends, like, we got to go stop more boogeymen.
Yeah, apparently it's a boogeyman situation in Centerville. We're gonna form
now that
a little.
You've found your childhood.
Yeah.
Your childhood is now leaving.
We're now deucing.
Because, well, here's the thing.
We're now going to form a boogeyman posse and go.
Dude, Boogeyman Posse, I did see them live. Oh.
Your your imaginary friend, at some point you stop being able to see them.
And is that
but it
before
can't
or
just
after
be,
your little brother's imaginary friend kisses you?
That's right.
Okay,
When do you
so this movie ends. She is saying goodbye to her imaginary friend
She's super
Zoe.
happy to have her imaginary friend back, and
That's
Zoe's
right.
like, happy to be here. I am leaving.
I
You
am
will
leaving.
never
That's right.
see me again.
And then Larry's like, hold on 1 second, baby girl.
And Larry kisses Fran.
Yeah.
And we are
in a romantic way. It wasn't like a
100%.
There's a full. There
it is
is
a walk up, look into your eyes,
that's right.
kiss,
and then
See you later, baby girl.
and then
That's right.
they disappear.
Yeah.
And into the sunset.
And we're still wondering about why.
Yeah.
Darwin and Franny are talking. They're falling asleep, and we see the boogie people watching them as they sleep. And then
Not just watching them. No, the boogie people are in bed with them.
they're in bed with them. Yeah.
Couldn't leave it at the kiss.
Doesn't
Had to-
end super
had to
strong.
Double down on.
But that is Don't Look
Don't
Under
Look
the
Under
Bed.
the
Yep.
We'll be right back. We'll break this down a little bit more here on DCOM Descendants.
Where were you, Aaron? God.
I'm in the weeds. Still trying to process that kiss.
If
Hello,
you're still
everybody.
listening to this on your commute is too long.
It's too long.
You drive too long. Jerry, get a new job, buddy. Get a new job.
It's time for Overtime, so we talk about how this movie aged over time. I do have some reviews from Letterboxd if you would like them. Robin gave this movie 3.5 stars. For some reason, like literally no possible reason I can think of, the main character was named Francis Bacon. I need to know the backstory of
It's
this
scientists.
decision.
All the kids are named scientists.
Max says 4 stars. I want a remake with Lil Nas X as Larry. Not bad. Not bad. Hannah says 3.5 stars. Everybody, you can't make a movie with only Dutch tilts. Don't Look Under the Bed. Try and stop me. There are a lot of tilts in this movie.
Yes.
A plethora. Lisa says 2.5 stars. I miss when DCOMs were unhinged. Gone are the stories about not abandoning imaginary friends lest they manifest into demonic spirit and eat your little brother who's recently in remission from childhood cancer. Now they're all about following your dreams and whatever the F. Allie says
10 out of 10
That's
review
my
right
fave
there.
review.
That's,
Yes.
Layla says 5 stars. The B in LGBTQ plus stands for boogeyman.
That's so great.
Carrie says 3 stars. How do we add emotional resonance to our boogeyman film? I don't know. Bone marrow transfusion plot. Sure, cut print. 5 stars from Emily, who says more horror films should have. Never mind, that one doesn't make any sense. Breakdancing. Is there breakdancing in this movie?
I think he
think-
dances at one point.
Okay.
Where's the one that doesn't make sense?
That one, because I don't remember the breakdancing.
Oh, okay.
And 3 stars. Possibly one of the most unnecessary kisses in DCOM ever.
Yeah.
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 But I'm not even mad about it.
I'm mad about
If
it.
there's one more unnecessary, I can't imagine it.
This is what they say, no character in cinematic history has ever oozed more charisma than Larry Houdini. It's time to see what we thought of this movie and how it aged over time. Aaron, you and I, we've never seen it before.
So this is
a fresh
since
slate
we
for all of
watched it,
us.
How is it aged?
Well, just looking at it back now, here we are, 99, this movie came out. What'd you think about this movie?
Yeah, I have so many thoughts. I went out to dinner with some friends last night, and if you think that I made them all discuss this movie with me, you're right, I did. Some of them haven't seen
Have
it.
they seen it?
Yes.
Okay,
So
that's better.
yeah. I was like, hey, have you guys ever seen To Look Under the Bed? And immediate reaction. So I was like, great, let's talk about
What's
it.
up with that kiss, huh?
Yeah. So let's start there, because where else? There's just so many places to start. But the kiss, I didn't love that this man is like stalking her in the beginning of the movie, and she is thrilled. She's like
big into it.
Like she's trying to explain when they're blaming her for the pranks. She's like, no, it's Larry. He's this guy. He's been following me. Like,
oh my God.
No, that's not. Listen, we talked about this last week with Genius. A, you don't owe men your time, and B, if they are stalking you, it's not romantic.
No. It's not romantic. Correct.
That's not a sign of no.
Don't kink shame her, Erin. Very into Larry Houdini, who stalks her.
I think that's a different thing.
If she was 22 or 23, Bran,
that's
maybe
fair.
A better argument.
That's fair.
13.
Yeah.
13. Is that going to stop Larry Houdini from kissing her?
No. Now, in reading about the movie, I found out that they almost did stop the kiss, but not because it was weird, but, or stalking, or the fact that it's not romantic in any way. We don't need a kiss. They almost didn't have the kiss because they're an interracial couple.
Oh my gosh.
So let's, again, not aging well over time in the last 24 hours or in the last 20 years.
But at least
They did it.
They did it.
Yeah, they kept them kissing.
But maybe they shouldn't.
Yeah, so like,
I don't know what side to be on.
Right, like happy for that they kept the interracial kiss in a 1999 children's movie, but also like, I don't think we needed the kiss. It's a weird line to be on. Yeah, so there's just, the fact that everyone thinks this 13-year-old girl is doing all these pranks. How? Someone explain it to me. There's no logic there at all. The parents are mad that she somehow caused a citywide blackout, but not mad that she was up on the roof all night alone, unsupervised, hanging Christmas lights. Like there's just... I have some questions about the parents and their parenting ability. I also question every imaginary friend turns into a boogeyman if you stop believing, but this is the first case of pranks that we've known about.
It's almost like there's a lot plot-wise that doesn't hold up, which is true about all of these, but I think here
I think that there is a really great plot in here somewhere about, her coming to deal with her brother's cancer situation. Even keep in like my boogeyman, like, keep in like that personal, like, here's my boogeyman. I pushed them away too soon. And now I need to refine my childhood. But then at the end, when it becomes a boogeyman posse and every boogeyman in the world is doing pranks, like, I don't know. I just
doing pranks.
I think there was a really good plot here and we didn't get it. So I know I like this movie, but also didn't like this movie.
Fair. Brando?
At this movie's best is as good as DComs can be. There's a lot of really good filmmaking choices, really cool, a lot of interesting, like, practical stuff. And then it just gets bogged down. It's doing a lot of things here. Too many things, in fact. But I do agree. I think the overarching lesson of don't grow up too fast is a good lesson. I don't know if I'm a kid and I'm watching this movie, one, if I'm ever going to be able to sleep again. It's a very scary movie at times. But two, I don't know if I'm getting that lesson. I think it gets lost in the ochres a little bit there. And so there's a lot to like about this movie. And there's also a lot to scratch your head at and be like, why? Why did we decide to do this? And so overall, good, but very scary. Like, surprised that this was on the Disney Channel, because it's not like Halloween Town where it's also goofy. Like, you see that the scary stuff, but it's like so over the top and goofy that it's like not scary. There's like to what Dan brought up earlier, that scene where she's laying down in the hand, like it is some scary stuff.
We didn't even talk about all the times where they're like when she's sleeping in her room and she has like dolls on shelves the doll heads would be like
some Conjuring stuff. Yeah.
And that scene where all the kids are stationary is so unsettling. Like as a kid, I would have just been like really creeped out by it. So
and the thing is, like, and I don't mind scary when I feel like there is a point to it. By the end of this movie, like the boogeyman, like he wasn't trying to hurt Franny.
No.
Why did he capture
like there is
Darwin?
There's just like
Don't know.
there is so much that like
What was his plan there?
it's like they were trying to make a movie about like your childhood and letting go of your childhood too soon, and then they hired a horror director, and the movie just took on a different turn. And
Was the whole thing is we'll capture Darwin, Franny will come in here, and then I'll just have Franny forever? Was that?
I don't know, because at one point the boogeyman does try to throw Darwin off the cliff.
Yeah, what does that do? Does that wake him up? Does that kill him?
Wake me up.
Wake me up inside. Yeah, no.
I'm sorry,
yeah.
I'm just back.
Yes.
I have a lot of questions about
Well,
this movie.
It's just it
and
tried
the
to do too much.
motivations of the boogie person.
Yeah, it just tried to do so much.
Yeah.
Dana?
Right.
I think this movie at its best is the best decom. The problem is its best is about 45 minutes of movie. When weirdly enough, the scene where they're having to remember their childhood and clapping and all that scene worked really well for me. The effectiveness of the horror in this movie works really well for me. Some of how it's shot works really, really well for me. It has a cinematic quality to it. But as both of you guys have pointed out, as you go further and further into this movie, it doesn't hold up. Very similar to Smart House, the other movie that is terrifying by the end, that also doesn't hold up. But you guys with that one don't ask questions. You just go, it's Smart House.
There's nothing scary about that movie.
Oh, that movie's terrifying.
Smart House.
That movie at the end of the day is scarier than this movie.
It's Smart House.
Time out. This movie is visually scarier than Smart House. But the ramifications of the plot, this movie, the guy's pranking you. Yes, it's scary, but he's just a prankster. Smart House is terrifying for a number of reasons, but it's very similar to me in a lot of ways, because at its best, it works really well. At its worst, it's a mess of a movie that doesn't hold up under the foundation it's created. And so I had a hard time ranking it. But I like a lot of it. A lot of it I really, really enjoyed. So there's that for what it's worth.
I will also, just two things to add. One, Eric Ty Hodges crushed in this movie.
Oh,
yeah.
Went so hard. Was great. Just
and
really
to be
went
that
for it.
young and to be that confident, like, I'm going to go on this set
And I'm going to
and I'm going to be unhinged and just go
100
hard.
the whole time. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two, the whole something I just thought about, like the whole thing is like, don't look at the boogeyman, right? Like put the covers over your
Well, if you're in bed and you have the covers over your head, the boogeyman can't touch
get you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I stand by those rules to this day.
Okay, fair. But like poor
I always
Darwin,
have to sleep with a blanket.
poor Darwin was just hanging out, and he didn't even get a chance. He just took him right under by his foot. It's brutal. It's brutal out there. Don't do the feet dangle.
Don't look under the bed.
Yeah.
He didn't.
I do wish that, like, almost like Disney had made two separate movies. Like, I would be here for an actual horror movie with the boogeyman, but maybe don't tie that up with coming to terms with, like, childhood cancer.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I didn't. No. I didn't mind the bone marrow subplot of this movie. My
I liked
problem
that.
was the stalking romance part and the lack of coherent plot of how many boogeymen are there. This is the first we heard of it. The pranks, like, why is he pranking? Like, some of the motivations of the boogeyman didn't make sense to me, and the stalking was weird.
No, so I want a movie where the boogeyman is
right.
like the bad guy.
Very
there is no
scary, yes.
redemption. We defeat the boogeyman at the end, case closed.
Yeah,
and then maybe a movie about
yes.
childhood cancer where
This-
there's a redemption arc.
Yeah, this boogeyman being created because you lost your childhood essence is a great idea. It's a great idea for a
Yes,
movie.
yes.
But it gets the waters get muddied. That's where I am.
It's time to make the list.
This is tough,
I
Bran.
only have 11.
Yeah, that's 11. I was wrong.
Okay,
I
great.
counted again.
I went a little
was
little
wrong.
nutty here. All right. Well,
Top 10.
Dan and I recorded an episode without you, apparently.
Yeah.
top 10.
Top 10.
One goes away. I think it's clear which one.
Yep.
For Dan and
Under
I, it
wraps.
is very clear.
I think for everyone listening, it should
Aaron,
be clear.
Aaron, do you have it? Do you have your list made? Because I can go. I have it.
No, I have
Okay.
it. I don't love it.
I don't love mine either, but here we are.
Because right now, my list is still like the order in which I would rather watch these movies
Yeah.
and not necessarily what I think is a better movie. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think with these, a lot of mine, they're the same on that, but that's the age old, like, that's the ultimate
yeah.
question.
So, I mean, it's like I think there is a really good movie here, but it's not my number one decom because I'm not gonna choose to watch this over Smart House. Spoiler. So where are we? We have 11. Okay.
Yeah, all but one.
Okay, so for me, 10 is 13th year.
What?
13th year.
Stop. You're wrong. Number 9, Under Wraps. 8, Can of Worms. Then we got Brink, Genius.
7. Brink at 7, Bran.
Don't Look Under the Bed at 5. Wow. Then we have Xenon, Halloween Town, Smart House, Johnny Tsunami, who's the best human being in the entire world.
Oh, yeah.
I've got You Lucky Dog at 10.
Boo.
Might be the last week. Might be the last week.
The fact that you say might, I hate
It's
that.
absurd.
I don't know, man.
Movie sucks.
I don't know, man. Can of Worms at 9. 13th Year at 8. Xenon 7. Genius 6. Don't Look Under the Bed 5. Halloween Town 4. Johnny Tsunami 3. Smart House 2.
Smart House over
Brink.
Johnny Tsunami. You
Brink, the greatest movie of all time, number 1. Dan?
Our lists are starting to all like go their separate ways.
Brink isn't a, I still can't. Brink is iconic, but
No, it's a no. It's a no for me, dog, on that. Number 10,
1.
13th Year. Number 9, Under Wraps. Number 8, Can of Worms. Number 7, Smart House. Smart House.
Smart House.
I need to say no more.
Right.
Smart
It's
House.
Smart House. Right.
Number 6, Don't Look Under the Bed. Number 5, Xenon. Number 4, Brink. Number 3, Genius. Number 2, Halloween Town. Number 1, going away, Johnny Tsunami. Johnny Tsunami. Correct.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
we did, everybody. Congratulations. We'll be back next week. We've got Horse Sense.
Yep.
Horse Sense.
Lawrence Brothers.
Yes.
Making their appearance.
Ooh.
And I have seen this movie.
Yes.
But I'm not super familiar with it.
I'm very familiar with it.
Well, it's the Lawrence Brothers. So there's nothing you can do.
Also, it was Lawrence Brothers on like a ranch.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
man.
Right now?
as a child, there was nothing I wanted more than to live on a ranch. I was like,
Really?
I can ride horses whenever I want.
Wow.
As an adult, I realized that that's not how a
Terrible.
ranch works.
Yep.
You have to work and at the ranch.
You got hail bales to kill.
Hail bales?
You got hail
bales. Oh, hail.
Okay, hold on.
Sock.
You've got hay bales.
You got it,
to
buddy.
cover.
You got it. Hey.
Bone marrow
You got hail
transfer.
It's transfer. It's
a
here you go.
transfusion.
I'll trade you two
Yeah,
Pikachus for some
If you
bone
could,
marrow.
you're a Venmo? I'll Venmo you some
Bone
bone
marrow?
marrow.
Yeah, no, I loved riding horses. I still do. But I was like, yeah, if I live on a ranch, I can just do nothing all day except ride horses. And then the Lawrence brothers were like, yeah, we live on a ranch. And I was like, great, sign me up.
Fair enough.
Can't wait.
We'll do that next week. Until then,
Decom.
Decom.
What
What
is go watch
Keep watching Decoms.
Mickey
Smuggler's Request Live.
snag a
House.
Snag a mouse.
What?
I don't know.
Snag a mouse. Decom Descendants is a Bramble Jam podcast. It's produced by Brandon Gray. For more information on Decom Descendants, you can go to decompodcast.com. You can also go to @Decom Descendants on the socials. For more information on how to watch us watch the movies live, you can go to BrambleJamPlus.com.